All righty. It is Monday evening, and you know what that means.
The second string!
You really extended that last word, but yes, this is indeed the second string. I am your host, Nate Mielbach. Joining me is my good friend, Alex Fernando. And
What's
we are together.
up, radio listeners? Welcome to the second string. I'm so excited, Nate.
It's going to be a fun week. Now, for any of you who are just tuning in, new to the show, we are discussing sports. I would call us the premier sports chat. I know there's a Barstool funded operation.
We're the real deal here at Lincoln.
Yeah, but we're way better.
Honest.
We're way better than that one.
It's a little self-confidence vote there, but hey.
Yeah, but we're a general sports show. We'll talk about whatever, whenever, wherever. Whenever and wherever being Mondays from 7 to Mondays on
KRNU2.
On KRNU2.
All right, let's get to the sports.
Okay, yeah, we're done. We're done.
We can talk about sports.
All right, so we got a lot to discuss today. It's been a big couple of weeks.
One last football thing.
One last
for
football
a while.
thing.
We have a couple months break for football.
Yeah, we'll probably have about a month break.
Let's kick it off with that.
Okay,
right?
yeah, let's do it.
National Signing Day, Wednesday, February, what was it, 7th? February 1st. This week's, no, that was 7th.
Was it 7th?
Yeah, 7th.
Okay.
So Wednesday, February 7th, last week, National Signing Day. Big day for Nebraska.
It was a good day for
Nebraska. Big day
Nebraska.
for all of college football and
Yes.
all college football fans, seeing where the nation's top recruits are going to sign their letters of intent, go to school, play some ball, win some natties, you know.
I hope so. I hope there's some natties.
But no, this was a great day for Nebraska, I thought.
I thought it went really well. We didn't hit on all of our targets, but we hit on most of them.
We hit a lot of big ones, and for those of you who did not see, Nebraska actually finished with the number 21 ranked class in the nation.
Which is super nice.
That is a big boost, because when Scott Frost walked in the door here and took the head coaching job, Nebraska was sitting at, I think, like 83, 84 range. 88. Okay, yeah. So those mid-high 80s, nowhere near where we could have even imagined being right now.
Exactly. And from a pure numbers perspective, this is not unexpected. Mike Riley always recruited in this 20 to 25 range all 3 years. So,
but with a coaching turnover, with basically a month given to this guy. I mean, he stayed with his other team. He was focused on that. He did recruiting at the same time.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this dude's a machine. He's up and at 'em all day, traveling across the country.
He did a really good job with what we're given, and Nebraska is kind of about that. It should be recruiting from that 15 to 25 range about every year. I don't think we're ever going to quite get into crack that top 10.
I don't know. Scott Frost might kind of have that appeal in a few years.
If we do really good, we might be able to. But at this point in our program's lifespan, I think that recruiting in that 15 to 25 range is really good for us. It's where we usually recruit, and I think it'll help us get through that. But, you know, for like you said, that coaching transition, it was just a really effective class to grab onto. I mean,
speaking of the class, let's break it down a little bit. Talk about some of the big gets, some of the big misses that we had. Overall, let's see, how many did we sign?
We signed 24.
24, so pretty big class.
Yeah, I think we can break it down by position.
Okay.
I think that'll be a lot easier, a lot quicker to just cycle through.
Than just grabbing these guys and tossing them out there. Okay.
You know, I think we can go down. So let's start on the offense. Let's start with the number one, the most important position in the offense, the quarterback. We grabbed a quarterback in this class. We grabbed 4-star Adrian Martinez out of Tennessee. He was
recruited by Tennessee. He's from California.
Yes.
He's from Fresno area. Originally committed to Tennessee. Good, tall quarterback, 6'3", about 200 pounds. Dual threat guy, fits Frost's system well.
Yeah,
that's why Frost went after him pretty heavily. And he was actually one of the first recruits Frost went and talked to after he took Nebraska's job.
But he the first recruit he went and talked to after he took the Nebraska job. He was, I think, at the beginning of the period, I think the early signing period, he was the big get for the Huskers.
Definitely.
And, you know, he didn't play his senior year. He injured his foot. He had to have surgery. Oh, no, not foot, shoulder. He injured his shoulder and had to have surgery on that. But his junior year, he threw for about 2,500 yards. He could run. He can pass. He played a little bit in those senior games, I think. Mm-hmm. And I thought he looked pretty solid. And I think he's just the type of quarterback that Scott Frost wants to get in his system. Like, he is the prototypical, at least in terms of measurables and what he can do with the football. He is what a Scott Frost offense wants to
Definitely
have.
what Frost wanted for his system. And scholarship-wise, this is the only quarterback we got. But
yeah,
walk-on, Noah Vedril's coming back. He was down at UCF with Scott Frost as a backup quarterback. He's coming back to the home state of Nebraska.
He's sort of a delayed scholarship.
Yeah,
he's going to go on scholarship next year.
Yeah, right now UCF is withholding his scholarship, so he came back and he is walking on at Nebraska for a year.
And I'm assuming he's going to get the scholarship next year.
I would imagine so. He was offered one by Frost before. I don't see why not. And fun story, my very first recruiting tour was with Noah.
Oh, really?
So when I did my very first football tour for game days, my sophomore year, I had Noah Vedril as my recruit.
Oh, that's great.
I remember talking to him. He was so excited. He really wanted to be a Husker, so I'm glad he's getting that chance now.
I'm glad he is, too. I'm glad you told me that story.
He's ready to come back and play for the home state. And his, I think his uncle and his dad both played with Frost.
Yeah,
so
they did. They both
a lot of
played
family
with
connection
Frost.
there. But bringing in Martinez, bringing back Vedril, we have O'Brien, we have AJ Bunch, or Andrew Bunch, we have Jebbia.
See, and this is one of the reasons we brought like essentially two quarterbacks in this class, is because we will have somebody transfer out this spring. There will be a quarterback on. It's going to be one of either Patrick O'Brien or Tristan Jebbia.
I would imagine so.
One of those
It's tough
two,
to see who. It's tough to see what.
I mean, Scott Frost has kept a pretty tight lip about winter workouts, and they obviously haven't even got back on the field yet.
No, yeah,
for practicing.
Spring practice hasn't started yet, so you can't really assume too much right now.
I don't know who will be transferring, but I think that most Husker fans should probably look for one of those guys to be gone after spring ball.
That would be the most likely of the two, but I'm excited though. You have a 5-way quarterback battle. I mean, it's completely open.
It is. It is.
These
very
freshmen
open.
coming in, they have every shot. As much as Jebbia or O'Brien haven't been here a couple years now.
I think so. I do think Martinez, I mean, obviously Vedril can't play. He has to sit out.
He has to sit out with the transfer rule.
And I think they're going to redshirt Martinez. He's a freshman coming off of an injury still.
Mm-hmm.
I think kind of like Jebbia last year. You have to get him in the weight room for a year.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how that'll work out. I think you're right. Definitely Vedril's got to sit out, but then redshirting Martinez. But still, again, just having that extra competition there, he might be able to break into the rotation a little bit early on with some reps in spring. We'll see how that goes. But
and I'm not saying that Martinez can't win the job. I think he has every right as like the rest of the people in that room. But with a quarterback of his intangible, he's 6'3", 200 pounds. That's kind of not D1 quarterback weight. He needs to put on probably 20 pounds of muscle, I think.
That's probably fair. Speaking of position battles, though, you could probably look across the entire team and say there's position battles everywhere now with the new coaching staff and with the new guys we brought in. Let's move down the roster a little bit, down to the running backs.
Now, this is the position group that I think that most Huskers are very excited for. I'm excited
good reason.
for it.
No, I mean, this was our biggest recruit. Maurice Washington, 4-star running back, number 93 in the nation, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was the number 5 running back or something like that.
It's crazy.
So, big get for Scott Frost and the Huskers.
I mean, he's out of Texas. He played.
Tejas.
Yeah, he played
recruiting in Tejas again.
Exactly. He played really well in the Under Armour All-American game. He scored
3 touchdowns?
3 touchdowns,
yeah.
Which is crazy.
Kind of insane. Watching his film, too, dude can move like none other. Great vision, makes his cuts really quickly, but just in the right moments, too. Really smart runner. And I don't know, I'm excited to watch this guy in the spring game.
Yeah,
Is he in? No, he didn't start this semester. He'll be not. So he'll be back in the fall.
He'll be back in the fall. And unlike quarterback, running back is one of those positions where you can come in as a freshman and succeed almost right away.
Yeah, you can definitely break in pretty quickly.
And Maurice Washington, I think, is one of the recruits who you might see break in to that role. And I think it'll be crazy because, he rushed for about, 1,200 yards his senior year, I think is what it said. And he is just a very dynamic athlete. A lot of teams in the recruiting process actually backed off of him because they didn't know if he was going to be academically eligible.
Yeah, he was able to get his academics together, was able to qualify, so that was a big boost. And also, a lot of schools were recruiting him as a defensive back. They didn't necessarily see him as that running back.
Yeah, Arizona State was the next biggest threat to recruit him, and they wanted him as a DB.
Which is understandable. He's got great speed, pretty good length as a DB, is 6 foot, but a slighter build, so that's why a lot of people were thinking he's got to play on the outside, cover receivers, not really that between the tackle runner that you're going to want.
Yeah, and I think I was reading an in-depth, I think 24/7 Sports, I think was the one who did an in-depth report from like the coaching staff of Nebraska that talked about him. And I think the only three that were out was quarterback, running back, and DB. But they were talking about recruiting him, and they were like, oh wow, this kid, he can do everything. We could put him at DB. You know, we might have him return kicks for us. Mm-hmm. You know, we can put him out in the slot if we really need to.
Yeah, very talented. And Scott Frost likes to move his guys around.
He does.
Watching UCF all season, he would throw his running backs out in the slot. He'd motion them across. He'd put his wide receivers in the backfield. They're running all different directions with his system.
And I think someone like Washington who can catch and move in space. I mean, one of his biggest highlights was just him out on a wheel route in the Under All-America game. And you see that, and you're like, that's what Scott Frost wants to do with his skill position players.
That fits right in with his offense. And Washington, I mean, we're talking him up. He wasn't even the only running back we got. Greg Bell, the JUCO running back.
I like Greg Bell. I think if you want to put a dark horse on somebody who's going to be a big contributor next year, I think this guy, Greg Bell, is going to be really,
he's not
really
a bad guy
good.
to hang your hat on.
He's rushed for 2 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons at Arizona Western CC. They led him to the championship the last year.
A little bit more of a bruiser back compared to Washington.
Yeah, he's more of a pounded up the middle, kind of go through it. I would call him the Divino Zigbo that fits Frost's system. And a lot of people might say, man, our running back room is kind of crowded, which it kind of is, but I think
it is, but there's a lot of youth. I mean,
there's a lot of
Jalen
youth.
Brown, sophomore. Wilbon, he's a junior.
Zigbo's a senior.
Zigbo's a senior, but
I don't know
if he's quite built for this system.
I don't know.
But so I'm looking at Wilbon and Jalen will be the 2 older guys, most likely. I mean, I'm sure they'll find a way to get Zigbo in somewhere.
Yeah,
he's a talent. He's a big runner.
And I mean, everybody's like, "Oh, what about Trey Bryant?" Unfortunately, I would see that. I would not be surprised if we see a Trey Bryant retires from team headline. Which I mean, who knows?
Sure
maybe we honor his scholarship anyway. I hope we do if that happens.
Yep.
But it's been a rough.
Kind of like an Adam Taylor situation where he had a lot of injuries that just held him back and couldn't quite break through just because of those injuries. But still, definitely honor the scholarship if he wants to. And
but that's why we took 3 running backs in this class.
Oh,
and,
for sure.
Someone like Greg Bell, he has the experience. He can really push the pile. He's 6 feet, 200 pounds.
I'm sure I'm sure he's already put some weight on because he's here already. on campus. He came in early.
He was on the
so
early.
We're going to see him in the spring game.
Yeah,
I'm excited to watch that.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that I'm actually really, really excited for. Now we got our third piece of the running backs that we got. This is Miles Jones, the 5'9", 166 pounds running back. He was committed to Vanderbilt. He cited leaving Vanderbilt. He cited academics. He wanted to pursue great other academic opportunities elsewhere, leaving Vandy.
That's bold.
I think what I heard on social media was that he wanted to be in like video game design.
Okay.
And I think Nebraska has a program like that.
Yeah, we have some programs similar to that. As a campus tour guide, I can confirm that we have some programs that lead down that path with graphic design and things like that.
And he wanted to do that, and Vanderbilt, I think, didn't have that.
Okay, that's fair. If you're picking on your major, that's good.
And that's just what I heard online. But Jones is a kind of a shifty back. I'd call him very similar to like Jalen Bradley.
Yeah,
that
a little bit smaller.
A little bit.
5'9", 166. Definitely going to need to put some meat on his bones.
He's one of those backs you can really put out in the slot. He's one of those backs you just shift over.
They're going to use him in motion quite a bit, I'm sure. Those wheel routes you were mentioning, I can see Scott Frost using him out on the edge quite a bit.
But I'm assuming he's one of those players that because we do have a lot of running backs, I'm assuming he gets a red shirt this year. And we see him next year and coming years. We'll see what he can do.
For sure.
Now let's move on to wide receiver.
My people. Love the wideouts. Pretty good class for them. Not a terrible amount of size, apart from McGriff, 6'6", 210. He's actually he's in my coaching football class, so I'll see him tomorrow
really?
night. Yeah, he's here early on campus, so I'll see him tomorrow night.
Let's talk about McGriff. Let's be here. He's
big-bodied receiver. That's
6'6", 210.
Yeah,
wow.
They might flex him down. Probably a little bit light for tight end, so I don't know how much they'll flex him down too much.
We'll see. I mean, that's going to be up to the coaching staff. If they want to tell him, okay, you should put on 30, 40 pounds, buff up to tight end size, or, stay right where you are, put on 10 pounds and stay as a receiver. I would like to see him as a receiver. I want a big threat on the outside. That being said, we're actually kind of really weak at tight end. It's one of our worst position groups.
We got Cam Jurgens coming in.
Yeah,
we have Austin Allen, young tight end. He redshirted this year.
It's
definitely not our strong suit.
It's just not one of our strongest positions. And I think McGriff, wherever he goes, receiver or tight end, is just a really nice piece to put in there. We'll see what he can do. I mean, I'm assuming a lot of these receiver types are going to get redshirted. This isn't like Maurice Washington and Greg Bell, who are.
Well, we have a lot of receivers coming back too. I
don't know if we have a lot of receivers coming back, but we have a
decent amount with experience.
We have enough that we won't need many of these freshmen that are in here.
Okay.
I mean, McGriff is definitely one because of his frame that I think he definitely needs a year in the weight room to put on into and to just mature into a greater player. And we want to talk about some other ones. Andre Hunt. He's a receiver we got out of.
A lot of speed on the outside with him.
Yeah, he's 6 feet, 175 pounds. He's a pretty solid. He's a big-bodied receiver. He stretches the field really well.
I remember one that you were really excited about. Again, JUCO guy, Jerron Woodyard.
Okay, he's the guy that I think might come in and contribute right away.
Really?
And he might not. Maybe we'll see. Well, from what I was thinking from then to now is I think he plays a very similar role to Tyjon Lindsey.
Okay.
He's a very similar receiver. He's much faster. He runs, what did I say he was? A 4.43?
Something like that.
4.3 40. He's extremely fast. And
Lindsey's not too far off that pace.
No. That's why I said I
haven't played pickup football with him. I mean, just jogging. Dude can blow by people.
Yeah, no, and he was good. He's a good player, and that's why I said they're both about the same size, 5'11", 5'10",
yep.
And that's why I think. But Woodyard is the type of guy who probably will see the field right away. I mean, he's a JUCO player. He's seen the field.
He's had experience. Yeah. I think that's going to play a big role in learning systems, especially when it comes to Frost's new offense. We'll see how a lot of the younger guys pick it up and how quickly they do. But I think you're right. With Woodyard coming in, having experience on learning playbooks kind of quickly, learning systems, and just having the game experience, that weighs a lot.
Yeah. And like I said, we got a lot of these smaller receivers that need time in the weight room. You think about Mike Williams. We have another receiver whose name is Mike Williams. Is this, the 20th?
There's always receivers named Mike Williams.
Hopefully he's as good as all the other Mike Williams.
I would not be upset with that.
He's a guy we got from, where did we get him? Oh, he was from Last Chance U.
Yes, that's right.
He's a Last Chance U guy.
Yeah, he's the East Mississippi
Community College. Yeah, there's a
JUCO.
TV show called Last Chance U that kind of documents that community college.
Really interesting show. Sadly, I've only been able to watch a couple episodes. I've been trying to find time to watch it, but it's on Netflix and all about just the kind of route a lot of the JUCO players take.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are highly recruited coming out of high school, can't quite make it academically, or they go to one of those big schools and can't make it there, and they end up transferring.
And I think that's the case. That's the case with Mike. I think.
Okay.
He was. I don't know where he was from, but I think he couldn't quite cut it at his school. He went to Last Chance U to try and. I think he didn't like where he was, and so we went to Last Chance U to kind of, rebroadcast himself and say, "Hey, somebody pick me up." And I think we kind of got him. He did a pretty good job. 12 receptions, not 12 receptions, 30 receptions, in 12 games for 670 yards, 7 touchdowns, 20 yards per catch. Well, it's a CC, community college ball, but I think he's another receiver like Woodyard that can contribute right away.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where this receiver group goes. Again, that's always one of my favorites. And with Scott Frost's system, loves to air it out, loves to spread the ball around to multiple targets. These guys are going to be coming in handy in a couple of years down the road.
Yeah, and we will just go through the other ones, like Katarian Legrone, 6'3", 220. He's a guy who's going to be in the weight room for, I think, redshirting for a year. Dominic Watt, who's 6'1", 190, 3-star recruit. Another guy who can compete early for like some of these playing.
The biggest thing I'm seeing with these wide receivers, having watched some film and then just based off their numbers, a lot of speed. Which is what Frost likes to build his offense around. But then, we got Spielman, we got Tyjon Lindsey. We're going to have a lot of speed these next few years.
Yes, we will. Now, moving on to tight end, we'll talk about the only guy we got, Cam Jurgens. I'm glad we got him. I'm glad he stayed. He's a
Legrone, they said, might do a little tight end as well. So
I wouldn't doubt that either.
Yeah, but yeah, Cam Jurgens, definitely the biggest guy. I've given him a couple stadium tours. He's come to every game for like the past 3 years, I think, as a recruit. Yeah,
no, there were rumors once they fired Riley that they're like, I don't know, he's getting interest from LSU, and it's like, no, he's coming to Nebraska.
Cam loves Lincoln. He's a great guy, great kid, and
I'm sure.
I don't know. I've had a lot of fun talking with him on the sidelines, just about football, about life. I know he was really excited to come here and study and hang out, so... I'm excited for him to be on campus.
There's been a lot of talk.
Finally as a student now, at least, instead of a visitor.
Yeah, and then there's been a lot of talk that they might move him to defense. He might be at D-end, OLB.
We need a lot of those.
Which I think would be a pretty good job for him. He was pretty good in high school as an OLB. He played for Beatrice. He's recovering. He had a really bad ankle injury last year that I think he's going to recover fine from. But he still needs to get in there. So he might be one. He might be a guy who redshirts. I think, even though I think size-wise he doesn't probably need to. But coming off of an injury, you never know.
We'll see. Again, at least like you said, our tight end room is kind of short-staffed, so we might need some people.
We have Jack Stoll, and then outside of him, we just have
a couple walk-on guys. And Austin Allen again.
Allen, Kurt Raftal. They're guys we gave scholarships to, Matt Snyder, but they're guys that just haven't produced, and we don't know what they can do.
Yeah, we haven't seen them on the field yet.
Yes,
I think as has been the trend lately, the weakest part of our recruiting class was the offensive line.
Which is unfortunate, but I think got a couple.
Extremely unfortunate. That's the weakest part of our team.
We're going to go after them this year, and who knows? One of my bold predictions for next year is that I think the offensive line is going to look a lot better under new coaching.
I'm sure they're going to be better with a new system in place, new coaching, like you said. We'll hopefully get a lot more out of the guys that we have here.
I think so.
We have a lot of talent.
I think it's going to be a rough next year because a lot of the guys are going to be starting in new positions. We're going to have
new positions, new schemes.
Yeah, because we're going to have 2 new tackles. Quote unquote new. They've played a little bit.
Yeah,
this
some
year.
guys have had experience. It's just a lot of injuries to come back from too. So
yes,
that's the biggest thing I'm nervous about.
But
that might change with the strength and conditioning. But last year we were so beaten up on the offensive line. We didn't have enough bodies.
We didn't
have enough people to come in and fill guys.
And these guys will be all right. Willie Canty, who's basically the only true, I would call, a tackle position. He's 6'6", 290. He's another guy that probably will redshirt, but he's a type of player we need to get more of in the class. And when Frost got on the recruiting trail, offensive line was a bit thin. I think the recruiting, what was left, was a bit thin. So I don't think we could have expected that much better than what he did. But still, I'm glad we got Willie. I'm sure he'll be a good lineman. Just need some more. We got Will Farniok, brother of Matt Farniok.
Farniok trend just sticking with Lincoln.
Exactly.
That was a good one.
So it's nice. The younger brother of Matt, Will, is more of a true center. So,
which we need.
Which is good. We need more of that because
we've mostly the last couple of years just been kind of rotating guys at that position.
And I don't think he's going to play. He's definitely another player who's probably going to redshirt. But
needs to put on some weight, build up a little bit.
But we need more center, especially since it looks like Michael Decker is not going to be back for the fall.
Really?
From what I've been hearing is he's been having complications with his injuries.
Okay.
And I think
I'm just concerned with the number of bodies we have because
I know I am too.
We had a lot of people.
So it's either going to be I think Conrad or Bo Johnson or Bo Wilson.
Bo Wilson. Yeah.
I don't know why I thought Johnson. Slap me. Now let's look at defensive line. Let's go over to the second side of the ball. We got two defensive linemen. We got Casey Rogers and Tace Wildyman.
Wildyman? Is that how he says it?
Yeah, you pronounce the E.
Really?
Yeah, or maybe it's Wildyman. Wildyman.
I'm gonna go with Tate, and I'm gonna go with Casey.
Okay, Tate and Casey. I know you do pronounce the E though, so.
I'm excited though. Big body guys, really long. 6'5" for Casey, and then 6'6" for Tate. So
Casey was interesting because he was recruited. He was going to go to Syracuse to play lacrosse.
Yep.
And apparently we just kind of snagged him up. Was like, hey, you want to play football for the Huskers? He was like, sure. Yeah,
he'll need to put on some weight. He's only 240. Going up against some Big Ten linemen, that's not going to work.
Yeah, these guys, 240, 245. These are guys that are probably going to redshirt.
Yeah, but good talent for the future. Again, I love the length. Whenever I look at defensive ends, I love having long, lengthy guys who can use their arms for separation on those offensive tackles, and if needed, just create that separation to seal the edges. When you have a defensive end that can get around the edge quickly and create that space, that's when you get a lot better pass rush, and that's when you contain those running backs from getting to the outside.
Yeah, it's going to be a good thing, and I'm glad we're finally getting some more length back in the D line, and we can stop playing converted OLBs as DNs. That would be really nice, and I'd be glad to do that. Now let's move on to the linebacking core. We brought three pretty good linebacking prospects in. This might be one of my more favorite groups that we got in this last recruiting class. Let's talk about the first one first. Let's just get him out of the way. I think he's going to redshirt a little bit. This is David Alston. He is from Minnesota. I'm really glad we got him. He's one of that 500-mile radius guys. Yep. Like, these are guys we can't be missing on, in my opinion.
No, definitely. High-star recruit for his area. And, again, good length, 6'5", 210, so probably got to put on a little weight. But from what I've seen on film, just great speed, likes to attack the ball.
Yeah, he'll be a pretty good. He's one of those guys that I guess I said he would probably be redshirted, but I wouldn't be surprised if he made it in.
Especially, with Frost's defense, from watching UCF, they rotated their linebackers a lot.
Yes, yeah, they did.
They rotated their linebackers a lot, so they kept a lot of fresh bodies in there. A lot of people were making plays, making tackles. And, hey, if you're learning under Barrett Rude, you're going to be hitting the field soon because you'll be learning a lot.
Yes, and speaking of Barrett Rude, let's talk about, this was from the breakdown I read, this was his hand-picked guy. This was the guy he wanted. Let's talk about Will Honus.
Will Honus, 6'2", 225 from Wichita, Kansas, JUCO guy. That's big. Last JUCO, Zaire Anderson was too, but last big JUCO linebacker I remember was Levante David.
Levante. Let's not compare anyone new to Levante.
Nothing goes to Levante yet, but I'm just saying, like, if Barrett Rude has his eye on him, that's probably a pretty good sign.
I was reading that in-depth recruiting breakdown, and Rude was saying that Honus just has great knack for the ball. He just knows where it is, and he just goes and makes the tackle.
Yeah, great awareness with play recognition, can diagnose kind of the blocking schemes pretty quickly, find the ball carrier, find the gap.
He's fast, too, which is just something so nice. I would really like to have speed at my linebacking positions, and I love the guys.
We haven't seen that in a long time.
And I'm happy, and I'm glad they played for Nebraska, but, people like Marcus Newby and
Dedrick Young.
They're just not fast.
No,
not fast.
They're not fast. They're not fast individual. Much bigger bodied linebackers like to stop the run, fill the hole, which you need as well.
Yeah.
But especially against teams like Ohio State and with Michigan,
you need speed.
You need speed on the outside.
And speaking of speed, now this is probably the other, in terms of star rating jewel. This is Caleb Tanner from Georgia. Georgia. One of the big pickups. Did you hear the story about Frost helping his mother?
I did not.
Frost. It's kind of what sold them on us. Frost went to go talk with his mom, and his mom was working. I think she works at a school. I think. I don't know. I didn't know if she was I forgot if she was the lunch lady or the janitor or something like that. But she was cleaning the cafeteria.
Okay.
And Frost was like, she's like, I can't meet with you, Coach Frost. I gotta work. And he's like, no problem. I'll help you. I'll clean the cafeteria with you.
Oh, God.
Good guy.
Can we ask for a better coach? I mean, a better human in general? Gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, and so that's what
campus.
sold his mom on Nebraska. So. He did that.
He did that to me.
He did that to be a nice guy, not to help recruit.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I'm sure that's just the guy Frost is.
But he's a 6'3", 225-pound linebacker, just a pure pass rusher from the outside, which is just we haven't had much.
No, we have not had that in a long time. A good blitzing linebacker.
I can't remember the last good blitzing linebacker.
It's been a while. Maybe.
Was Levante the best blitzing linebacker?
Well, he didn't even blitz. We just kind of let him. We're just like Levante, find the ball.
Philip Dillard.
Dillard, maybe. Yeah.
Philip Dillard, maybe. That's the last guy I can think of.
I don't know. It's been a long time since we've had a true, just absolutely tenacious pass rusher from the linebacker position.
And he's the type of guy who can definitely go through it. Now let's move on from the linebackers. Let's talk about the defensive backs. These are the most recruited guy. We got 5 of them, which is nice.
Most valuable position in this class, I think.
Especially since DB is one of those positions that honestly we have less depth than you might think.
Yeah, we have a lot of young guys and they've had some experience, but not as much depth as we would initially think. We had a lot of injuries last year before the season that took out a bunch of guys, so those young guys were kind of thrown into the fire. Obviously, system last year not the best, not working for them, so there's going to be a lot of turnaround and change with this unit. So I think with the amount of talent we got, especially at the safety position, that's what I'm really excited about.
Yeah, we got a lot of good safety positions. We got Cam Jones.
That was a big one from Texas.
That was a really big one. 4-star recruit, 6 feet tall, 200 pounds. He's just a really nice box strong safety. He plays the run very well. He plays the pass very well. Apparently, I haven't watched film of him, but according to the coaches, he just plays both sides of defensive coverage, run and pass very effectively, and that's something we need from the safety position.
Definitely. I mean, especially after graduating Kyron Williams. We have Aaron Williams coming back, but who are the safeties?
We have Antonio Reed.
Antonio Reed, okay.
But that's it. Jojo Doman re-injured himself.
Yeah, so it's tough to see who's really going to kind of break out in this room. And he coming in as a freshman, even with coming in the fall and summer camp and stuff, he has a chance, I think, just with his talent and raw ability. Yeah. And we need bodies back there. We need fast, playable guys.
Yeah, one of the other playable safety guys is C.J. Smith. He's 6'3", 190, and I'm just so glad when you get height at the safety position. It's so important. That's
key because then you can start lining them up on tight ends. You can have a little bit of man underneath with those, and there's not a lot of people who can body up with tight ends just in general when you play defense. Because linebackers, they might have the size, but they usually don't have the speed to keep up with tight ends.
You're right.
And then vice versa, the safeties and corners all have speed, but they're going to get outmanned just because they don't have the body to keep up with the 6'6" frame.
Yeah, he's the guy he's got the ability, he's got the size, and I think him and Cameron Jones are going to compete for, I think, a lot of playing time. I think at least one of these guys is going to see more playing time than I think people think. And I hope it's CJ Smith because he has dreadlocks, and I need to see a Nebraska player with dreads. Rest in peace, Mom. I know my mom hates dreads, but on football players with dreads, she says she wants to pull them. But
what? What's wrong with the dreads?
I don't know.
Richard Sherman would not be happy about that.
No, he would not. We got some other guys. We got Braxton Clark, who's a pure corner, I think, who's also 6'3", which is super nice. That is big.
We haven't had length on the outside for a very long time. I think
Stanley Jean-Baptiste.
Yeah, Jean-Baptiste is who I was going to say. I don't think we've had length since him, true length on the outside. And he initially came in as a receiver.
Yeah.
And then he switched to corner, and he was a damn good corner. So.
And then we got Cam Taylor, who's just a really nice guy. He's one of those two-way players, who might switch. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, we'll see what the coaching staff decides to do with them. We got a couple guys that can play both sides of the ball. But and then, no, I'm excited with this recruiting class.
And then Deontay Williams, who's a safety who comes in, he's another JUCO guy, which, probably will compete for immediate playing time.
That happens when you have a mid-season coach or a mid-recruiting cycle coaching change. You got to go after some JUCO guys, and it's not a bad. I mean, we've had success with JUCO players before here in Nebraska. A lot of teams have had success with JUCO players.
Yeah, it's good.
I've never turned down JUCO.
I wouldn't either.
I think the experience is valuable too, to teach some of the younger players. Hey, the speed of the game. Yes, it's another step up in D1, but still, the speed of the game is faster where they've played, so they understand kind of how quickly things turn around here. They understand a little bit more of a college schedule, the weight routine. So it's good to have guys who are ready for that, rather than just teaching a whole team that.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy we got some JUCO guys play. Yeah. I mean, Mike Riley didn't get a single JUCO guy.
Exactly.
And I thought that was a mistake. I mean, you don't have to get JUCO guys. Dabo doesn't get JUCO players. He has a whole rule he doesn't get JUCO players, and he does just fine. But we don't recruit like Clemson does. So we need those JUCOs.
Last piece of the puzzle with this recruiting class, brand new kicker for Nebraska, Mr. Barrett Pickering. I actually gave him his tour for the spring game last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really, really nice kid from Alabama. One of the friendliest guys I've ever met giving tours, and he was so excited. The last year's spring game, that was his first time ever in Lincoln, and he was just beyond hyped to be out on the field, be surrounded by the sea of red in the stadium. So I know he's going to be excited come this fall, and probably have a pretty good shot with Drew Brown graduating.
I mean, we gave him a scholarship right out of high school. I mean, he should be our guy. He's the guy who is projected to be the kicker.
Yeah, he should be our guy. And I remember talking to him, and he's so excited to come kick here and just be in school here. He was excited.
He should be good. It's give him a chance. It's always tough to break in some a new kicker. It's always tough to break in.
Oh, I know.
Well, we'll see.
Freshman kickers, that's a lot to deal with. But hey, I'm excited.
I'm confident. I'm confident. It'll be some fun. And that is the Husker recruiting class. Wow, we talked for 37 minutes about that.
Hey, there's a lot to talk about.
There is a lot to talk about.
Quick story for the rest of signing day, just because we got a little bit left here. I thought this was hilarious. To cover it, his mom did come back, but there was a recruit, number 5 wide receiver, Jacob Copeland. He was deciding between Tennessee, Alabama, and Florida. And his mom was wearing Alabama gear. He had other people in his family in his group wearing Alabama gear, a couple people wearing Tennessee gear. And the kid picks Florida to go play at for signing day. His mom initially got up from the table and left right on live TV.
That was bad.
That was rough. I don't know. Again, his mom came back, gave him a hug and stuff. I think it was just kind of heat of the moment thing, but that was a little bit interesting. That was interesting to watch. And I felt bad too. The ESPN guys are asking, "Oh, so why'd your mom leave? Who was that just got up?" Like, the kid's just like, "That's my mom. I don't know."
She's being weird.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just thought that was a little fun entertainment on signing day. The kids get enough national attention. Why not throw some more in there?
Yeah, so. It was a weird thing. It was don't do that. Don't do that, parents who listen to our show and
be thankful for the opportunities that your kids are given, and no matter where they choose to go to school, know that that's where they want to be and that's their choice.
Exactly, and hopefully she learned that. Well, we're gonna take a quick break so I can rest my voice and Alex can rest his. We'll be back in a couple.
I can talk all night, Dave.
I know, me too. We'll be back in a minute. Stay tuned to some more Second String.
Imagine never being able to drive, to watch TV, or even read Harry Potter. Reading is essential to our lives. City Impact Reading Center helps Lincoln Public Elementary Schools boost their students' reading scores by getting all students at or above their grade's reading level. Each week, volunteers of all ages go sit and read with students. You can help a student gain an important life skill and help change their future. If you're looking for some rewarding volunteer experiences, please visit their website at cityimpact.org.
I'm Steve Clements, businessman and cyclist.
I'm Jeff Blymeister, Chief Deputy Sheriff and cyclist.
Riding on roads can be dangerous when motorists are not cautious. A year ago, I was hit by a car while biking in the county.
Cyclists have a legal right to use the road, and drivers must give them at least 3 feet of space. It's the law.
Cyclists should wear helmets, be highly visible, and use lights after dark.
We can share the road safely.
Learn more at lincoln.ne.gov.
She didn't want it, yet she got it. She got something no one deserves. Abuse. To start healing, you can't be silent. Your voice has to be heard. Voices of Hope provides free, confidential services on dating, domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking issues. Walk-in hours are available Tuesday afternoons from 2 to 6 in the City Campus Union. For more information, visit www.voicesofhopelincoln.com. Voices of Hope. With your voice and others, find hope.
All right, we are back with the second string. More sports, more everything.
More sports. What, did you plan that? That's a nice rhyme. More sports, more everything. Second, we're back.
Yeah. Yeah, well, let's say I did plan that.
Okay, Nate. Wow. Well, let's move on. Football's over, sadly, for a while. I mean, we'll have the spring game and practices and stuff. We'll get there. But right now, there's a pretty hot team in the land, Nate.
Is there?
There's a hot team, and Nebraska ball is making some waves.
Nebraska ball?
Making waves where there is no ocean, I tell you.
Stop that. Don't do this. I know you're incapable of throwing out nothing but marketing buzzwords, but don't do it.
It's my job. What can I say? I'm paid to do this.
Oh my gosh, never.
Nebraska ball?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say something witty towards you.
Okay. Well, Nebraska ball, recent game, taking on Rutgers. I was there. Great witness to it. 67-55 over the Scarlet Knights on Saturday. Got a little sloppy at times, but overall, very, very cool game to watch.
Yeah, you were at this game. I unfortunately was working a gymnastics meet.
Unfortunately, our gymnastics team is fun to watch. I don't think that's necessarily...
Okay, yeah. It was,
missed the basketball game,
yes, really good.
But gymnastics is fun to watch. I don't think that's necessarily unfortunate.
They're number 3 in the nation. They're really good.
Yeah. So I wouldn't call that unfortunate, but yeah. I was able to attend. Sadly, you couldn't come with me. We'll make that work next time. But
yes.
Again, 67-55 over Rutgers. There was early on in the game, we were up 20-4.
I saw that when I was in Devaney working that gymnastics meet. I think one of the event staff was like, "Have you seen our basketball team? They're up by 16." And I was like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
That's like literally the only update. So
yeah, we got to as high of a 19-point lead, and then kind of like fizzled out at the end. They got a few buckets. Again, sloppy at times. Rutgers not a very good team. 12-15, 2-12 in conference on the season. So
yeah,
not a team that you're gonna have a lot of concerns with anyway, but great win for Nebraska. Again, that is 5 straight now, so big win for the men. And again, they're looking like they're in good shape to get into this dance, like on the bubble so a little bit.
They're very much so on the bubble, and
7 of their last 8, and again, very manageable schedule for the last 4 games. Maryland at home tomorrow, actually. At Illinois later this week. And then Indiana and Penn State both at home. All very winnable games to finish out the season.
Very manageable. And I don't think we're going to win every game. I think we're going to drop one, which is unfortunate because I think in order to make the tournament, we're going to need to win every game.
Shun the non-believer. Shun.
Listen.
Shame on you, Nate.
I've seen enough Nebraska basketball to not expect the best result.
I agree, and I'm with you there, but this team just seems different.
No, they're good.
Having watched them in person now a couple times. I got to see them early in the season with the Boston College game, but this was the first game I've been able to make it to for the men since then. So
they're
early
a good team.
Season Nebraska ball, kind of late season. These guys are really starting to gel. The biggest thing I saw in this game was, and we saw it against Minnesota too, was the spread in scoring. It wasn't one guy dominating this.
No.
Just look at the box score here. Copeland, 11 points. Roby, 10 points. Anton Gill, 6 points. Watson, 11 points. Palmer Jr., 15. And then they had 8 from Shamanga off the bench.
That's kind of the big one. When you got Shamanga off the bench, who's been actually contributing a pretty decent amount so far these last couple of games.
Yeah, and Roby had a double-double, too. He had 11 rebounds.
Roby's going to have many double-doubles over the next couple of years. He is so good. And I know the meme in Huskers is the TV announcers always say, "Oh, Isaiah Roby, he doesn't know how good he is," which is just the most absurd thing ever. But he is so good. He's
starting to come into his own. My favorite play of the night,
that dunk.
He had a monster dunk in the first half.
It was impressive.
Yeah, sets the screen, ball's taken down the right side of the lane, and They pass it back to him. He's at the top of the key. Just drives down the left side and absolutely demolishes the defense.
It was crazy. And I think right before that, too, he took it coast to coast.
Yes, the drive before that, he took it coast to coast. So.
I mean, he's just so impressive. And I know against better teams in the Big Ten, he's not going to be able to do that, but he is just so versatile at the 5 spot.
They use him all around the floor. And again, this game was a good win, but not a great win because we easily could have won by 20, 25.
We could have.
And like it has been all season, the biggest weakness was rebounding. We did not shoot the 3-ball very well. Only made, 1, 2, 3 of them. We only had 3 threes throughout the game, so didn't shoot outside very well, but the biggest thing was rebound. I swear at least 20 points of Rutgers 55 came from second chance buckets.
And Rutgers is a pretty solid offensive rebounding team. They're about 50th in the nation.
They're not that big though. I mean,
they're not.
And see, I understand like rankings. They're not terrible. 50th around the nation, you said. But just watching them, Nebraska just failed to box them out time and time again. We had 3 guys down by the hoop. We'd all just kind of look up at the ball, and then a Rutger guy would just come down the middle of the lane. Nobody would touch him. Nobody would box him out, and just get an easy putback.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're totally correct. And it's an issue, and it's been an issue for Nebraska all season. And it's one of the growing pains you have when you have a lineup like Nebraska uses. When you put Isaiah Roby at the 5, you just don't have the size to compete with a lot of these shooting teams. And Rutgers is a team we shouldn't have had that complication for.
Definitely not.
But when you get in the mindset of we're always getting beat on the rebounds, it's tough to shake out of that.
Tough to get out of that, but I don't know. That's definitely got to be a big emphasis over these next few weeks.
It's got to change.
If they're going to get into the
It's not going to work.
tournament.
They're not going to beat Maryland if they rebound like that.
Oh,
for
definitely
sure.
not. Maryland has way too much size.
They're not going to beat Penn State if they rebound like that.
Penn State's ferocious on the boards.
Yeah.
They go after the ball time and time again. Much better team than they usually are, just overall, and especially with the boards. So that's going to be a big turning point for Nebraska
I
later
think so
this
too.
season.
I mean, they got we're at the point in the season where we need to be prepping every game is the most important game.
Yeah, need to start stepping up a little
we
bit.
need to win out. We have 4 more games, and if we win out, I have a hard time believing they're going to leave us out of the tournament.
Yeah, maybe even especially if we can get a Big Ten win in the Big Ten tournament win.
If we play Michigan in the Big Ten tournament again, was what it kind of looks like what might happen if we go 3-1 in the last 4 games or something.
Yeah,
where it looks like we're going to play Michigan again, probably. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm hopeful for the Huskers. I think it'll be a good job.
Again, solid win, though. It was nice to see, again, that scoring spread. It wasn't just Palmer or Copeland taking over. People were getting the ball spread around, and everybody was kind of contributing.
We'll see against Maryland tomorrow where it tips off at 4 o'clock because that's awful. And
terrible tip-off time.
Neither of us are going to see
We're in class still.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. But now let's talk real fast about the women's team. They won their 18th game. Amazing. I'm super happy
big
about
turnaround. You were at this one. You had to work.
I was.
Oh, I had an event, so I wasn't able to make it yesterday, but close win.
Close win against.
Kind of came down to the wire.
Close win against probably the second worst team in the Big Ten.
Not a good team with Wisconsin. 9-17, 2-11 in conference. So not ideal on how you want to win the game, but hey, it's a W.
It is a W. And I think for the Husker women, it just comes down to they have players who aren't playing good that need to play better. And that's such a cliche and kind of inane thing to say. But if you watch the games, you'll notice players like Hannah Whitish, players like Maddie Simon, they need to get going.
Maddie, she was 0 for 3 on 3-pointers, only had 8 points.
Yeah, Hannah Whitish was 1 for 8. 1 for 8.
Yeah.
And she didn't have as many turnovers as she had in the Maryland game. She only had 1, but you can tell she's just not in the zone. And for a player like Hannah, who's probably our second best player when she wants to be.
Nicaea didn't play very well. She was 1 for 6.
No, I mean we didn't play well outside of Kate. And I thought Kate and Janae, I think, played really well. Mm-hmm. We were down by 8. And then Janae hit back-to-back 3-pointers and brought us back to within 2, which is kind of where we hovered through most of the game. They were always up by 2 to 6 points the entire game, up until about 5 minutes left in the game, where he finally took the lead for the very first time.
Yeah, I think you're right. Again, just kind of like the men. You can't just have one or two people go off. You got to have the whole team kind of distribute the ball, click, everybody kind of get in that groove and get some points going.
Yeah, and they're a team, especially if they don't have a star. I mean, you look at some of the other women's team in the Big Ten. You look at Ohio State that has Kelsey Mitchell, or you look at Iowa who has like Megan Gustafson. Like, they're players you can throw the ball to and say, okay, you get 28 points for us. And they say, okay, no problem. We'll get you 28 points. Like, they are not a team they don't have that type of player. They have 4 players who you need to look at and say, every one of you needs to get 10 points. And that's how we win this game. And, as of lately, they haven't been playing like that. And which is a problem when you don't have that type of player that can, just go out there and score. But they do play well, and they did get this win, which is nice. They probably couldn't have withstood this type of loss.
No, definitely. They got a couple road games coming up. Valentine's Day at Michigan State, and then at Indiana as well later this week. Finishing up Penn State at home, which will be senior night for the ladies, and then at Maryland to finish on the 25th. That one's going to be another tough one. We lost to Maryland last week. That was a little bit close. I mean, 7-point game, so we kept it closer in that one, but that's going to be a tough one to win at the end of the season.
It'll be really tough to win, but we're looking good. We're looking projected to win the NCAA tournament. If we go 2-2, I think the last 4 games, I think we'll end up making the tournament.
Yeah, get those ladies in there.
Yeah, they're projected to be an 11 seed, which is not great, but we'll see. I think they can do some damage.
All right, Nate, finish up our show. We got a few things to talk about with the NBA.
National Basketball Association.
The National Basketball Association. A little bit of craziness last week. Did you see all that?
Are we talking about the trade deadline?
We're talking about the trade deadline. Oh, my goodness.
It's probably
It's basically the Cavs trade, the Cavs day.
Cavs day. There were a couple.
I don't know what else to call it.
So, you want to talk about those trades?
Yeah, let's start with the big one. The Cavs basically gave away their entire roster and got new players,
which is good because they got better players.
Their roster, like you have mentioned before, poorly constructed, not well built for
old.
Like it was trying to like initial championship caliber just with like name and talent wise.
Yeah.
But the way they were using these players just wasn't meant to be.
So let's talk about the first one. Let's talk about
the big one.
Yeah, Cavs trading Isaiah Thomas, Channing Frye, 2008 first-round pick to the Lakers for Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance.
I mean, it's working out well for the Cavs.
Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance both looked really good last night. Larry Nance is great on the pick and pop. He pick and rolls like a beast with LeBron. And I've never seen somebody so excited to go back to Cleveland. I mean, he's from Akron, Larry Nance Jr.
Is he?
Yeah. And, I saw the Twitter thing there's a video of him running back saying, yes, I've been traded to Cleveland. He was excited.
Good for him. It's been working out really well for the Cavs. They've
Clarkson had 17 in his first game. I mean, he's not going to have games like that every day.
And also money-wise, this is the true reason on why they did it. If you really look at it, money-wise, they're clearing out a lot of their big contracts so that they have the best chance possible to sign LeBron again at the end of the season.
Yeah,
in free agency.
That's why they're doing it.
Yeah, they want to try to keep LeBron. This is their best chance to do so. The biggest thing, it's the NBA, so you can't get all emotional and get your feels in a wad.
Yeah.
But Isaiah Thomas, that poor dude.
Is he really a poor dude? Have you seen some of the stories?
What?
Apparently, he's just a giant locker room cancer.
Really?
Apparently, he's been not a great guy.
Dang, that brings me down because I always thought, I don't know, on the court he just seems like such a good teammate and a good guy.
I think he's been, and I think part of the reason he has been so. I think part of the reason he has been so. I don't want to call him toxic because I don't know, like personally for myself. But I think part of the reason
you haven't hung out with him.
Yeah, no. I mean, I called him a couple times. He didn't answer. But I think part of the reason he's been doing this is because his situation has been so poor.
That's. I mean, he's not been treated well.
And I mean, listen. There's no loyalty in professional sports.
That's true. Right? That's why you can't get your feelings in it. But I just feel bad. I mean,
I do.
He kind of revived Boston brought that franchise back.
He played, he hurt himself, and then Boston shipped him out.
Yeah, and Boston's like, "Yeah, we're okay. You got us where we want to be. Now we can get players that we really want." And so he went to the Cavs, couldn't do much there. Now he's in L.A., which good city and stuff, but he's got to deal with Lonzo, and he's got to deal with a coach that thinks Lonzo is better than him. I'm sorry, I would take Isaiah Thomas over Lonzo any day of the week.
I'll take Ball over Lonzo.
No.
We're disagreeing.
You could hang out with LeVar and talk about Lonzo all day.
I don't want to hang out with LeVar.
Yes, you do. He's your best friend.
I did call him. He did call me back. He wanted to hook me up with some BBB shoes.
You would replace me with LeVar any day of the week.
You know how good our ratings would be if I replaced you with LeVar? I'm sorry. You would replace me with LeVar.
Yeah, for the ratings.
Yeah, see? Don't put this on me.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, let's talk about the other half of the trade. Rodney Hood, George Hill going to the Cavs.
Yep, the D Rose and
the J-Man, Jay Crowder going to the Jazz.
That's right, the Jazz.
Oh, and they also dumped some schlub named Iman Shumpert.
Yep, Iman. He went to the Kings, right?
He did go to the Kings. Rest in peace, Iman. He's bad. Don't feel sorry for him.
The other big one too. I'm excited again because my boy Dwayne Wade back in Miami. Got my Heat hat. We representing.
They dumped the aging Dwayne back to Miami.
Yes, but you know what? He belongs in Miami. That's all I wanted. I just wanted him back in Miami.
Good. I'm so glad you can have D Wade come off the bench and score 8 points. I'm sure
He's
Miami's
not
happy.
Coming off the bench.
I'm sure you're super happy to see Miami's jersey sales go up 200% because D Wade back. I'm sure that's all you care about as a Heat fan.
It's just good to see him in a Heat jersey. Okay.
There's no loyalty in sports, man.
Yeah, that's true.
There's some other big moves. I liked Elfrid Payton got traded to the Suns. Mr. Floppy haircut.
Yep.
Yeah, he has that weekend haircut going on.
Yeah.
There was
Denver had a couple trades too.
They traded Emmanuel
They had a
Mudiay.
3-team deal. Yeah, that was surprising. Mudiay going to New York.
He's
Knicks now.
He's a player that really hasn't figured it out, and I guess the Nuggets just said, you know what, we're going to give up on him. We don't think he's going to get there.
Yeah, and then that sent Dougie McBuckets down to Dallas.
That's nice.
With that 3-team trade there between the Knicks, the Mavericks, and the Nuggets.
I like McDermott. I hope he succeeds.
Oh yeah, he's Dougie McBuckets. You gotta root for him.
I don't have to root for him, but I want to.
You want to? Okay, fair enough. Any other big ones? Let's see.
We can talk about who wasn't traded.
He wasn't
like DeAndre
Jordan. He wasn't traded.
They asked him if the Clippers wanted him, and he said, "I don't know." And I was like, "Ooh."
The Celtics signed Greg Monroe off free agency,
which is kind of BS because Gordon Hayward's definitely coming back.
Oh, for sure. That I saw a video, I think it was like a week or two ago, of him just taking some jump shots and doing a little warm up.
Yeah, the dude's definitely back.
That was good.
Which is nice. I'm glad he's back.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
In terms of the actual disabled player exception that you get to sign someone like Greg Monroe, it's like clearly a violation of the spirit of what that's about.
Oh, any big sporting news you want to throw out there? Any fun facts of the day?
Any fun facts? Let me think.
They had the Olympics start. We watched the opening ceremonies on Friday.
Katie Couric said that man looks pleased with himself, and I was not pleased with her.
No, the commentary on that opening ceremony was a little bit to struggle through, but
I didn't like it.
I didn't either.
The ceremony itself was nice.
Very beautiful ceremony. I thought it was very interesting to see how North Korea and South Korea walked in. We'll see if anything big comes from that. But
I mean, I did kind of laugh at when the U.S. team came in. They showed Vice President Mike Pence, and Kim Jong-un's sister was sitting right behind him, and she had like the most unenthusiastic look I've ever seen.
Yeah,
and like Mike Pence is just like clapping, and
a lot of politics there. But
yeah, it's. I don't really want to get into it, but it's a publicity stunt, and it's whatever.
Hey, one last thing. We forgot to hit it with Nebraska ball, but the men had a great message with the "hate will never win." I did.
I enjoyed it. They didn't have to do that. They wanted to do it out of their own free will. They took a stand. They said, you know what, we want we want to protest this. We think we should use our power and our influence for this. And, I'm happy for them. I think
for those of you who don't know, they took a stand against a vocal white nationalist here at the campus UNO. So it was good to just see that people are stepping up and saying their opinion.
Yeah, like I said, I'm glad. I think it was a really nice, really tasteful way to put their message out there. And I want one of those shirts they're going to give them out for free at the Maryland game.
Yeah, that was a good message to see. But that is going to be it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to the Second String here on KRNU2. I'm Alex Fernando. For my good friend Nate Milbach, we'll be signing off. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
See you guys.